All right, we're going to go over the Google Cloud Professional Security Engineer certification and a lot of the tools that you can use within Google to pass this exam. This certification has emerged as a crucial benefit and credential in today's cloud-focused entire enterprise landscape. This validates your expertise in implementing robust security measures within Google Cloud environments. The demand for cloud security engineers is growing exponentially across industries for a compelling reason. Security is transformed, from being an obstacle to cloud adoption to becoming one of its primary drivers. Organizations now recognize that cloud providers like Google can often implement and maintain security measures more effectively than in-house teams managing on-prem infrastructure. This shift has positioned cloud security engineers as essential personnel in modern IT departments. So the Google Cloud Professional Security Engineer examination runs for approximately 2 hours, costs about $200 to register. You can find discount codes if you look online. It contains about 60 questions depending on the exam version you receive and can be taken online or at a testing center. The core focus of the exam is that it evaluates your knowledge across both Google Cloud products and key security domains. This includes identity and access management, data protection strategies, network security implementation, comprehensive logging and monitoring, and security operations best practices. When approaching exam questions, pay careful attention to the final part of each question. This section typically contains critical contextual elements such as who is the intended target user or system, how these users or systems will access the application, and what specific assets or data require protection. These details often provide essential clues that will guide you toward the correct answer from among several technically valid options. So there's other resources you could also use. That's the Google Cloud's Boost hands-on. Let's see if I can provide that here for you in another window. This one is free. You'll see this here. You can also find several practice exams if you go to udemy.com and another walkthrough that'll probably be a little bit longer, but it might be more detailed. That's up to you. I'm going to cover this what I think would be sufficient. Anyways, let's continue. Chapter 1, about the exam. You might wonder why this exam is going to be told and what it's useful for. This guide will walk you through how to build resources corresponding with each core domain of the exam directly in Google Cloud using the console and gcloud CLI. This is the CLI, just so you have it more specific. So I'll show you some commands and I'll verify this against the Google Cloud GUI, the graphical user interface, and you'll be able to see how you can apply these security concepts at the cloud level. So 1, identity and access management. IAM is made to have custom roles and IAM policies for controlled access. How do you do this? You go to IAM, which we're already at, but the simplest way to find it would be to type IAM and select IAM here. How would you apply this? Well, you look for roles. See, on this left-hand panel, you can click this, create a role, apply it to a specific service account, or apply it for a different reason. So here we'll click create a role. We'll title it and say security reader. Okay. ID. We'll do security reader for that ID. And then we'll have a description, alpha, add permissions. So we can add, let's say, compute. This will be for compute instances. Let's say instance. Let's say compute yet. Compute network user. Let's say compute image user. And then, so this will allow you to apply compute engines to the network and create images or use images that are in compute, right? And you limit this in your scope. Now, admin roles are a lot more higher in priority. It basically lets you do whatever you want, okay? Save. Testing. Compute addresses. Get. For another one. Compute instance settings. So these are permissions that would be applied as well. You can look here. A little tedious, but let's say compute networks get as well. Compute networks list. So that'll let you get the network, list the network, and we'll add this. Okay. And then we can create this role. We can also do it through the CLI. Now there's one way we can do this. Let me see the project ID. Let me copy that. gcloud projects add IAM policy binding to this project ID. And then I would go inline member equals user colon, and then let's say an email, email at email.com. And then let's say the role would be projects slash project ID, and then roles security, oops, reader. So if I create this role here with this button and then apply it here, this should go. So let's create this role. Role created, as you can see here. And then we can hit apply here. gcloud projects, add IAM policy binding, project ID, member. Ooh, that's what it is. It's that email. So exit out. That's the goal. Now what I'm going to do is delete this policy or this role, excuse me. Disable it, delete it, and it'll go away shortly. All right, data protection. You can also create a customer managed encryption key and encrypt a storage bucket. This is important because any data that's on the cloud is actually stored, usually by default, securely and encrypted. This means if anyone gets access to that data or it's sent off in some package, it should be encrypted so no one should actually be able to open that data up and see what it actually contains. Now, you're going to do this so that you have all your data encrypted in motion, meaning it's being transmitted through whatever protocol, HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, UDP, TCP. There's a ton of different protocols. Or you have it encrypted at rest, meaning in a database, in a storage bucket. But let's give you an example of how you would create a key. And we're going to go into more detail with this. So you'll go to your customer managed keys, right? So let's type in keys, your key management, that's where we are. And here you can create one key ring and then a key for your desired region. So we create a key ring, just yours, key ring, and we'll have it multi-regional. These are free, so don't worry about the costs. Okay, and then additionally, we'll create a key in the key ring. So just choose key one, 2025. And then you can do this different ways of protection. Cryptographically, which is performed in the software, HSM, which is in the hardware security, and then external. So this would be stored with an external key manager. But it's much easier for you to bring in your own custom keys, your user supported and provided keys, than to use Google's keys in other platforms. Just note that for yourself. You continue, key material, it'll be generated. So we're not going to import it, it'll be generated here. The algorithm to encrypt, decrypt, that's usually the best way to go. You could do asymmetric, which usually does a little bit better so it's off time. And there'll be more information available. We'll go into it deeper as we go later into this. Continue on. You have your rotation period. 90 days is suitable. 30 days if you want to make sure you have tight key management. 180 to 365 to never. These are if you have a lot looser key management, or if you're running in a developer pattern where you're testing it as a common user. We'll stick like 90 and continue. Additional settings, you could have any here and label this for your own purposes, right? So you know what your status is, what keys you've created, how long they've been created, and you use labels for other resources that cost a lot of money as well, or money that trickles up in time. Click create, and this will be available. All right. You can also do this in the CLI as well. And I'm going to copy and paste what I have because I've wrote out some command. So we can create one like this. gcloud KMS key rings create security dash ring dash dash location equals US central 1. All right. That creates it. And then we can create a bucket and apply that ring with a purpose for encryption. If it's not, let's try this one more time. Come on. Okay, gcloud KMS keys create bucket dash key equal dash dash location equals US central 1. This is a line break. Key ring is security dash ring. That's the one we just created. Purpose encryption. Okay. I don't think I have that bucket, but I think it did. And then you can also look and create your buckets. You can see the certification of your buckets or the encryption status of your buckets. But this is just a very simple process, so you can get a little bit of exposure. We'll go into depth into this as we keep going. And let's see if we can see buckets. Okay, these buckets are not here. That's okay. But we see the key ring is created. We see the overview created. Rotate every 90 days. And usage status. Let's see, I believe we just applied it, so it might take a few minutes for this to go. You can also rotate it, edit the rotation period, and do a lot of different little features to make sure you have encrypted resources. All right. It shows the resources who can be granted access or who can be removed from having access. But this gives you an overview of what's available. All right. Next would be network security implementation. So you use VPC firewalls to isolate access to an internal virtual machine. How would you do that? One, go to the VPC, right? Here, VPC, and more specifically where we are, firewalls. This is going to be your bread and butter. This is how things really run, all right? So your VPC is your backbone. It's a programmatic backbone of your environment where you can create resources, manage resources, allow active access and activity, and limit access as well. Google does this a lot more interestingly with their tags, their labels, and their firewall rules. More so the firewall rules and tags. Labels just let you be able to know what's interacting, but it doesn't have as much control as, say, a tag or a firewall rule. Firewall rules take precedence. So here we can go and create a new firewall rule. Just to give you a little example of how we do this right here. And so for this, we could say, call it allow SSH admin access, right? So in this, you could just have a bigger description, but basically you want to allow admins to have SSH access to your VPC. How would you do that? Okay, turn it on for logs, which really helps. Set your network. We don't have one, so we'll just use the default. Set the priority. Remember, the lower this number is, the higher the priority it is. So 0 to 65,535. So 1,000 has a higher priority than 10,000. 10 has a higher priority than 10,000. Okay. And here you can set the ingress or egress, meaning is traffic going in or out? What's the action on a match? So when traffic matches your parameters, you can allow or deny the traffic. And then you can start setting tags, or you can start setting a service account. Add the target tags here, add your IP ranges here. We're just going over this very broadly, okay? And then you would set, what are the ports and protocols? You can allow all, right? Which is not recommended, but you can usually do what the default ones would be. So TCP, I believe, would be port 22. No, TCP would be 443, right? Or let's see, TCP, I believe, is 443. SHTTPS. Oh, ooh, man. This, ooh, TCP port. I'm feeling unremarkable. 143, 25. HTTPS, let's say, is 420, port 43, 443. All right, let's go back to this. Okay. Set UDP, SCTP, and you can set others, right? No, it's 23. It's 23. Yeah, let me double check. That's Telnet. That's Telnet. What is the DC default TCP? TCP is 22. It's 22. Yeah, it's 22. Telnet would be 23. Well, port open for this? Yes. SSH? No, it's not always set for that. Anyways, you're getting to see no one's perfect at this. You want to get good at it and know what you're trying to do. At that point, you create the rules, right? And then you can also test this with gcloud, and you can create this with gcloud as well. So I'll give you a sample of that. Should be reconnecting. All right. I'm going to copy and paste this so you see gcloud compute, firewall rules, create allow-ssh-admins, and then that line break backslash, direction ingress backslash, priority 1000, network default, action allow, rules TCP 22. Okay, I finally got that right. And the source, your ranges for your IP, you would add that as well. Okay. And your target tags, you would add that as well. And then you could create this and be okay. But since we don't want to add this rule necessarily, we'll just have this here so you can see it. All right. And then the final portion of this chapter will be the comprehensive logging and monitoring. All right. Logging and monitoring is very important for the cloud environment. It's really how you're going to tell what's going on and why it's happening. And being good at logging and monitoring is just going to make you a better cloud engineer and a cloud security engineer. So you can tell how your environment's responding, what it needs to be more secure, more operational, more efficient. So your basic thing is you're going to go to your logging. All right, let's go logging. You see here, it's already on Logs Explorer, but I'm just going to give you a roundabout way to get there. All right, it's not letting me open this. But anyways, you go to Log Explorer, which is here. So from here, you can run a filter, for example, looking for a compute engine, admin action, and then be able to identify what and how you want to create this. Okay, so let's see. Let's query. All right. We'll look for GCE. Let's see. Compute. Oh boy. Oh. So you need to learn some SQL so you can understand what's going on. Resource type. GCE. Compute. No. Instant. No. Instance. And then proto. Payload. Payload. Compute.instance.insert. All right. So with this, proto payload.method name. Proto. So I'm having a syntax. I forget a comma. All right, so it should be looking for a resource type. Let's try and remove this. Okay. Let's look for just a resource type, GC instance. All right. So it looks like something has been found. There's no logs for this. All right. But this is an example of how you would do this, right? And then, let's try this. Payload, proto payload, method payload, method name equals v1 dot compute dot instances dot insert. Okay. So this should be able to show you what type you're looking for. And then run the query, no data found. Looks like there's no GC instances with that name. All right. And you can create this query, save it. How we save it? Let's say VM creations, right? So anytime a VM is created, this is a query we can have, store this and look for it. Okay, we can also do this another way through the CLI. And it would be very similar, but I'm going to copy and paste from what I've already created. So you see gcloud logging read single quote proto payload dot method name equals quote v1 dot compute dot instances dot insert backslash limit equals 10. So this gives you an idea of how you can look at created instances with the query filters that you're looking for. And the final portion, and this is going to be another big portion that's going to be covered as well, it's going to be security operations best practices. So your big dog is going to be your security command center. Why? This is where you're going to get to your threat detection, your web security, and your container threats and container threat detection. All right, so let's go to the security command center. It's already enabled, but since I'm not a part of an organization, I'd have to enable this at the organizational level to be able to make this run. And for standard tier, which I'm on, it should be free, but I'd have to do a little bit more negotiation to get it to work. Okay, so what you can do, let's look at the primaries. Speed, let's say, so you can look for threats. Oh, it's not letting me anywhere. Posture management requires an organization. So you have to have a big dog role for this. All right, but that's okay. This gives you an idea of where this is at least, and you could be able to look at it on your own. And we can also do a look-see to what security services are enabled. gcloud services list -- enable - filter equals security. And it looks like compute engine API, web security scanner for APIs, and web security scanner API. So we have two basic ones enabled. All right. So going forward with this, we're going to go through and do a little bit of light GCP projects with security focus. We're going to use these to test IAM and workload. We're going to do this with VMs, networks, restricting networks. We're going to work on buckets, encrypting them with CMEK. That's customer management and customer managed encryption keys. And then we're going to do a little bit of scoping with some roles for that IAM, trying to target for least privilege. And we're going to go back into monitoring for sensitive actions. We're also going to go a little bit more into containers and threat security. We're going to keep this very interesting. Ultimately, you're going to want to know what you can or cannot do, but we're going to go next in our next chapter into cloud security concepts. So I hope you enjoyed this and you come back and listen to the next section. Thank you.